Welcome to Mastery of Writing the Personal Narrative.
Lesson 6, Video 1. This video is the 5th of 5 lectures on sentence structure. And today we're going to look at the complex sentence. A sentence is called complex when one idea is subordinate to another idea. We could say the same thing another way. A complex sentence has one idea that is more important than the other idea. As you watch this lecture, look for how a writer makes one idea less important than another idea, or one idea more important than another idea. Make sure to take good notes. As with every video, at the end, you will be asked to submit a question for inquiry. By the end of this lecture, you will be able to effectively compose a complex sentence.
There are several ways your instructor might help you after you watch this lecture. After the initial inquiry session, he or she might have you work on a group of ideas, creating complex sentences with the help of a small group of your classmates. You might research the definition of a complex sentence or look for examples on the web. Or you might be asked to write a summary of your understanding of how one idea can be more important than another idea. Watch this video and watch it again if you don't understand everything the first time that you see it. Are you ready? What does it mean when one idea is more important than another idea? Or, what does it mean when one idea is less important than another idea? Let's start with our favorite example, Mark works. What was our second example? Good, Ted sleeps. How can we make one of these ideas more important than the other? First of all, we need to establish which idea is more important. How do we do that? Writer's choice. It depends on what the writer wants to communicate. Is it more important to communicate the idea that Ted sleeps or that Mark works? Let's say Mark works is the idea that's more important to our message. Now we want to subordinate Ted sleeps to our main idea, Mark works. We could say, because Ted sleeps, Mark works. Does that sound okay? Do you see how the first idea is now less important than the second idea? And notice how we've given the sentence a kind of mood or tone. We're saying that there is a cause and effect relationship between Ted sleeping and Mark's working. We're implying that Ted's a bit lazy and that he relies on Mark to support his sleeping habits. This is a complex sentence. One idea is more important than another idea. And we can't forget about the 4 questions we asked to make sure an idea is a sentence. When we were talking about the compound sentence, we used these questions for both ideas, the ideas that were separated by a comma and a joining word. Look at the ideas in this complex sentence. They are separated by the comma. We know Mark works is a simple sentence. What about because Ted sleeps? It has a subject and it has a verb phrase. It is a complete thought. Can it stand on its own? Because Ted sleeps. No, it can't stand on its own. It's not a complete simple sentence. It is a dependent clause. It is also called a subordinating clause. And I sometimes call this part of a complex sentence the introductory part of the sentence. The joining words that a writer uses to compose complex sentences are called subordinating conjunctions or dependent words. If you or your loved one or someone you know has been in the military, you probably know what subordination means. A private is subordinate to the sergeant, who is subordinate to the lieutenant, and it goes all the way up the chain of command. Where there are only 7 coordinating conjunctions or joining words, there are many subordinating conjunctions or dependent words. Here's a small list. Let's go back to our sentence. Is it okay to switch the order of the ideas? Can you say, Mark works because Ted sleeps? Say yes. When a writer puts a dependent part of a sentence together with an independent part, he or she has a choice to make. Which one comes first? It is, again, up to the writer. It's a good idea to put the part you want your audience to remember in second position. We all have a better chance of remembering something that we just read, don't we? There may be a perfectly good reason to put Sleepy Ted in second position. Maybe there's a very good reason that he sleeps so much. You want to keep that part of the sentence dependent on Mark working because that is the reality of their relationship. Putting Sleepy Ted in second position helps lead your reader to the point you want to make, possibly that Ted just got out of the hospital. What about the comma? When the sentence started with because, that's the subordinating conjunction, the dependent word, the comma came at the end of the less important part of the sentence. When the less important part of the sentence came after the most important part of the sentence, the writer didn't use a comma. And that is the correct use of the comma when a writer composes a complex sentence. You want to look at a couple more examples? I'll give you two simple sentences. I want you to combine them and create a complex sentence. Mark is driving to school today. His father is taking the bus to work. Try writing your sentence twice. Once with the dependent word at the beginning of your sentence, and then write another sentence where the dependent word is in the middle of your sentence. I'll give you a little time here. Which dependent word did you use? There are several choices, but just like using joining words, there are some that just won't work. There's no way I can give you examples of every possible dependent word that could work, but I'll give you one. Since Mark is driving to school today, his father is taking the bus to work. And then if I want to put Mark in second position, it would look like this. Mark's father is taking the bus to work today since Mark is driving to school. Notice that I switched out the word today. I put it with Mark in the first sentence, and I put it with his father in the second example. I could have worked it so that today stayed with Mark in the second sentence. I just decided to change it up a little bit. And I also used Mark's father in the second sentence and his father in the first one. His is a pronoun. It makes the first example easier to read. It lends smoothness to the sentence. If you're not sure you got it right, bring your sentence with you to class. Your instructor will gladly look at what you wrote. All right, let's do one more to finish out this lecture. Use a dependent word to join the two simple sentences I'm going to write here. Just write a sentence where the dependent word is the first word and starts the dependent idea. You're going to include a comma at the end of your dependent idea, right? Here are your two simple sentences. The music he listens to is soothing. Sean always seems a little tense. I'll give you some time here. What do you have? Like I said earlier, there are several correct choices that a writer can make to create a complex sentence. I'm going to give you one. Although the music he listens to is soothing, Sean always seems a little tense. Did you put the comma in the right spot? All right. I want to show you how much you've learned. I'm going to show you 3 ways to write these last 2 ideas about Sean and his music. We have 3 possibilities. We could use a simple sentence structure. We could write a compound sentence. Or we could use the complex sentence we've already written. The music he listens to is soothing. Sean always seems a little tense. 2 simple sentences. Pretty good. Do you like this arrangement? It doesn't sound right. How about we start with Sean? Not much better that way, is it? I'd have to say a simple sentence construction doesn't work very well with these 2 ideas. But what about a compound sentence? Could we use yet? that works. The music he listens to is soothing, yet Sean always seems a little tense. Good. And let's use the complex construction that I have. Although the music he listens to is soothing, Sean always seems a little tense. I like the complex sentence. How about you?
How'd you do? Did you try to use the word because? I did, and it didn't work. It doesn't make sense to say, because the music he listens to is soothing, Sean always seems a little tense. Okay, that's it. The complex sentence. Your instructor will have plenty of ways to practice what you learned today when you get to class. Look at this video again if you need to, and make sure that you post your question in the inquiry folder. And remember, work hard and have fun.